125 pairs. And we didn't even know they were out here until the island opened to the public a little over a decade ago. Governor's Island had been a Coast Guard base, and then it was given over to the city of New York, or sold to the city of New York for $1. And we went out there and discovered this nesting colony. It was really an exciting moment. And they're a New York State threatened species, the common tern. Again, not common. It's confusing. So it's really special to have them out there. So you should all check them out when we get off the Governor's Island. Of course, we also breezed past a big famous statue over there. Not a bad view, if you want to check that out. I don't tend to dwell too much on the Statue of Liberty because there's lots of other opportunities and tours that cover that pretty well. So I'll leave that to them. Yes, I had a question. Do I know about that big boat that's there? Yeah, if you look to the right of the Statue of Liberty, I forget what that boat's called. It's named after some shade of blue, I think, but I forget what. But yeah, that is the largest, or one of the largest private yachts in the world. It's owned by a Russian businessman, and you can make up your own jokes from there. Trump Tower, Russian oligarch. I leave it to you. No further comment. But yeah, big private yacht. And it's been moored there for the last several months. And I don't know anything else about it. Anyway, this is of course a working harbor, so you're going to see a lot of interesting boats out here, not just giant private yachts, but also working boats such as these oil barges we have over here on our left. And there's another common tern. For those of you on the left side of the boat, the port side, I think that is. Not really a boat guy most of the time. At about 9 o'clock, another common tern flying along. Very long pointed wings, long forked tails, really elegant bird. So all of these barges out here carry oil or natural gas. And this one would be empty here because it's riding very high in the water. When they're full, they're almost flush with the water. And they're usually associated with a particular tugboat. You can see the tugboat has like a matching, it's color-coordinated, matching paint job there. That tugboat pushes the oil barge around the harbor. There's very particular rules about boats and the number of crew they have to have. But if you have a barge and a tugboat, the rules are different. So you often see these large barges with tugboats associated with them because they don't need as much crew as if it were like say an oil tanker or something like that, where it's a self-powered boat. And also the tug captains know the harbor better than anybody, so they're the people you want moving oil and gas around the harbor, if anybody is, because they really know these local waters. And all these oil and gas barges are probably going to power plants around here, either further upstate or right here in New York City. The Hudson is a really deep river, so it's navigable by fairly large ships, all the way up to Albany and beyond, which is one of the things that's really noteworthy about it. It's deeper than a lot of rivers of its size. It's not one of the biggest rivers in America. It's not one of the longest. It's not one of the widest, but it is really important for shipping. Not as much as it used to be, but partly because it's so deep. Of course, you had the Erie Canal that was built in the early 1800s, late 1820s, I believe, that connected the Great Lakes to the Hudson River, and that really increased the amount of shipping. And so, today it's not like that, but you still see a legacy of that. If you look over on the New Jersey side, I won't talk about New Jersey too much, but I should give them a shout out. You can see this giant cruise ship over there, and then the cranes, mechanical, not the birds, of Bayonne, New Jersey, which is one of the larger shipping ports in America. That's where most of the local shipping happens now. New York City just doesn't have the space, and real estate is very expensive, of course. So you can see a couple of gantry cranes over in Brooklyn there, past Red Hook. That's sort of the Columbia waterfront district. But the vast majority of this shipping that's happening is happening over in the port of Bayonne. This is container shipping, where they ship these giant shipping containers from all over the world, stacked up on really big boats. The Panama Canal not too long ago, and they in turn had to dig a deeper water port over in Bayonne to accommodate these extra huge shipping containers, or container ships rather, with extra, huge numbers of containers. It's really remarkable how big those things are. And this is another oil or natural gas barge we're passing here on our right, which looks to be about half full, I guess, judging by how low it's riding in the water. Okay, I think I'm caught up here. What were we talking about earlier when I was talking about fish. I want to get back to fish. I want to get back to the ecology. That's what this is all about. I was talking about how this is like a Grand Central Station for fish. They're coming, they're going. You have a lot of fish that swim up the Hudson River to spawn. Now, the fish that are most famous for that behavior, of course, are salmon. And early European explorers here described the great numbers of salmon in the river. But they were probably wrong. They weren't ichthyologists, they weren't scientists. As far as we know, there weren't any Atlantic salmon this far south. There are more up in New England. But there's another fish that's sort of vaguely salmon-like, the striped bass, that swims up to spawn in the Hudson River. And the largest breeding grounds for striped bass are right here in New York Harbor and in the Hudson. And just thousands and thousands and thousands of them swim up here. I don't know exactly when. Sometime in the spring, I believe. There's probably somebody on the boat here who fishes who would know that a lot better than I do. I don't actually fish very much. Bluefish also are found in the harbor. They're another important, for sport fishing, another important sport fish. There's a fish called a shad, a little fish that swims up by the millions to spawn in the Hudson River. There's even shad festivals where people would catch shad and eat them. Now it's less of a thing, but there's even a tree called a shad bush that blooms in the spring. It's named after the fish because it blooms around when the fish are spawning. And you can also, in the summer months when there's warmer currents bringing warm water up from the tropics, you can find tropical fish here. Butterfly fish, occasional mola will wander, or ocean sunfish will wander into the harbor. When I was out with those folks one City of Water day when we were seining in Brooklyn Bridge Park with those nets, we caught a small type of barracuda called a northern senet. We caught seahorses. There's seahorses out here. All told, there's about 220 different kinds of fish in New York Harbor. And including some of the oldest and biggest freshwater fish, the sturgeon. The Atlantic sturgeon is found here, and they can grow to be 12, 14 feet long, and they've been around longer than dinosaurs. So I always wish that we could see down into the water here. I do scuba dive, but I haven't tried it here. Apparently, the turbidity, the water is fairly murky. So even if you scuba dive here, you can't see all those cool fish very well. But maybe someday we'll get the water cleaner. We're bringing oysters back. I say we, like I have anything to do with it. I have nothing to do with it. But on Governor's Island, you'll have to go visit. There's the Billion Oyster Project. Whoa! Here's an oil tanker. So this is I've so far, and then it has to unload its oil or gas or whatever its cargo is onto one of those barges. Yeah, see, big letters, no smoking. I think it might be carrying oil or natural gas. I think I'm right. Safety first. So that's the spot tail. That sounds like a kind of a bird, doesn't it? A spot tail. We spotted a spot tail. Okay. Oh yeah, and there's another one over towards Staten Island there. Great view of Staten Island right now on our right, on the starboard side of the boat. The highest point in New York City. Did you know that? The highest point in New York City is over there. Toad Hill, somewhere on that tree-lined ridge. Whoa. Oh, even better. That's a better fact. Thank you. I will. Are you a Staten Islander? Aha, we have a proud Staten Islander on board. Okay. I will not tell that Staten Island joke I was about to tell. So apparently, Toad Hill is the highest point, not only in New York City, but on the eastern seaboard from Maine to Florida, which of course isn't saying much because it's just a long beach, basically, from Maine to Florida. But it's all of like 200 feet. I think it's about 220 feet or something, but that's it. It's breathtaking up there. The air is kind of thin on top of Toad Hill, and it's beautiful. And as you gaze towards Toad Hill on our right, there's a large gull flying alongside us. And you know, we have different kinds of gulls here. Oh, it's wheeling, it's showing off for us. That's called a great black-backed gull. That actually elicited some oohs and ahs. The views on this new boat are fantastic up here. So the great black-backed gull is the largest species of gull in the world. We have 4 different kinds of gulls that nest in New York City. Oh, hi everybody. Wow. and it just landed on the water. If anybody wasn't able to see it before, it's kind of riding on the water. Gulls are very adaptable, successful creatures. They can swim like a duck. They're very agile on the wing. They can walk around. They eat French fries. Or really anything else. They eat everything, anything they can swallow. I once saw a great blackback gull, that very species, catch and eat a puffin. Now everybody hates blackback gulls. I know. Sorry. The other gulls, we saw another species of gull earlier called a herring gull, which has a gray back. That's kind of your classic seagull. And then we also have ring-billed gulls and laughing gulls that nest around New York City. You know, seagull is kind of a misnomer. People call them all seagulls. It doesn't really do them justice because, first of all, there's different kinds, so they're not all the same thing. And they also don't really live out to sea. If you go beyond sight of land, you're not going to find very many gulls. There are other species that are a bird, like albatrosses, for example, that are truly pelagic, maritime, live out in the ocean. Thank you, that is definitely worth mentioning. On the other hand, I don't want to get everybody's hopes up. There was some other type of marine fauna seen recently nearby. I'll tell you more about that as we proceed. Just to finish up on the gull thoughts, so yes, they're not really a sea-dwelling bird. There are sea-dwelling birds, but gulls aren't one of them. So seagull, not a great term. They're usually found more around bays and harbors. So I propose a better name would be a bay gull, which is also a good New York kind of bird. It's a bay gull. It's a bay gull. See, it's like a gull, but it's in a, anyway. Okay. So one of the crew members just came up to inform me that, I don't know how they noticed, if the captain saw, or if maybe he's talking to another boat, but they just saw a whale just off of the Verrazano Bridge. So I don't want to get everybody's hopes up, but keep your eyes out. In recent years, one of the signs of increasingly clean waterways, oh, and look at this buoy here on our right, you've got double-crested cormorants on top, and a great blackback gull sitting on this red buoy at about 4 o'clock. So our waterways have gotten much cleaner in recent years. And one of the signs of that, yay, yes, thanks Clean Water Act. And one of the signs of that is a lot of life returning. You're seeing all these gulls and cormorants, and the terns have returned. I'll workshop that a little bit. In the last few years, every winter I lead seal watching eco cruises out here, and those are a lot of fun. And so between the months of about November and March, there are harbor seals that come and winter here. We're not going to see those today, I'm pretty certain, because they go up to raise their pups up in the Gulf of Maine or Canada. They're migratory. They swim back and forth. And in recent years, we're starting to see more and more whales around New York Harbor. There's actually whale watching trips that depart from, what is it called? Reese Landing in Queens, out near towards Breezy Point. And it's called the American Princess is the boat. And so if you look that up, you can go on whale watching trips out of Queens. But maybe we'll get lucky and see one today. There have been usually humpback whales, sometimes minke or fin whales, different kinds of whales, all baleen whales, and also dolphins have been turning. Oh, whale spotting? You think? Okay. Okay, if you guys saw a spout, that probably was it.
What a spout!
Now, when whales actually spout, it's not like in a cartoon where it's a squirt of water. It's usually a fine spray. It's them exhaling, and it's a fine spray of condensation and warm air. So what you would look for would just be this sort of little puff of water vapor. And you would also see the top of the whale's head. That's where their nostrils are, actually, right up in between, above their eyes, on the top of their head. And so they come up and breathe. They can hold their breath for a long time, but they come up and they exhale, they inhale, and they dive again. So you usually see sort of a long rolling view of the top of the head and the back. if you're really lucky, a whale might breach. That's what you see in photographs or, you know, on nature documentaries, is when they jump completely out of the water. That's actually fairly uncommon. So what more likely we're likely to see is that exhalation of breath and a little rolling view of the back, maybe the dorsal fin. Although humpback whales, I believe, don't really have much of a dorsal fin. I did not see this animal, just for the record. I have seen whales off of the Rockaways before. I have not seen whales here, but they do turn up periodically. They've even swum up the East River. There was a whale seen from Carl Schurz Park at 96th Street on the east side in the East River. It was in the early spring, maybe, back in like March, not too long ago. And I think that's going to be an increasingly common occurrence. We're just passing under the Verrazano Bridge. Really kind of unusual view to be underneath a bridge like this. This was built in 1964 to connect Staten Island to Brooklyn, and at the time it was the longest suspension bridge in the world. Now I think it's like number 9 in the world, so it's still a big bridge. It surpassed the Golden Gate Bridge, which had been the record holder for many, many years before that. I think the Golden Gate Bridge is from the 20s or 30s. Well, why, yes it does. Good question.